Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Delete that photo. His hand covered my phone. I hadn't taken one, he knew that. He slid his wedding band into my palm. Just for tonight, the metal felt too warm. I should have walked, but I stayed. I'm Mara, 29. I pocketed the ring anyway. He scanned the street like a lookout. No chase, no sirens, just his jumpy breath. Inside, he murmured, already pushing the door. I followed with the ring biting skin. We didn't sit, he steered me to the back. Corner booth is safer, he said, half smiling. Safer than what was the question, knowing me? He set his phone face down, then tapped it. I watched for the next vibration like a trap. Rule 1, no photos, he leaned across space. Rule 2, if she calls, I answer. The word she hit harder than the table. You two agreed, I said, and it sounded brave. He nodded fast, which did nothing. Drink, he said, flagging the server with 2 fingers. I'm good, my throat said otherwise. He ordered anyway, then nudged my knee. Trust me, the words came easy for him. I counted a slow 3 and didn't. His phone buzzed against the wood, once. I didn't look, he didn't either. Work thing, he added, lips not matching eyes. He flipped the phone over, screen hidden again. My skin prickled like the room had ears. Weekend is off limits, he traced a line. Weeknights only, no sleepovers, clear and simple. He repeated it slow, as if memorized. The rules sounded practiced, not negotiated. I swallowed and let that red flag stand. He reached for my pocket, I stiffened hard. The ring, I'll forget it otherwise. No, I kept my voice steady. You gave it to me, that means something. He exhaled, then smiled like he'd planned that. We ate quickly, I tasted little and watched him. He used cash folded sharp like new. No tab, no trail, just that crisp exchange. He joked about budgeting while pocketing change. The joke hung heavy and I didn't laugh. Outside he kissed me too fast, no warning. His palms framed my face like blinkers. Eyes here, warm breath, warm lie, warm habit. I kissed back because momentum is a bully. Some part of me took notes anyway. A rideshare pulled up, lights blinking impatiently. Different cars out, different cars back, he said. He opened my door and checked the mirrors. Paranoid, I tried, hoping he'd tease me. Careful, he corrected, and that landed colder. Mid-drive, a new message flashed on my screen. Unknown number, only my name and a question mark. I stared until the letters blurred slightly. He glanced over, then pretended not to. Spam, he offered, too ready for comfort. We reached his block, he stayed a step behind. Neighbors are nosy, he whispered like a game. He led me through the side gate with keys. Second floor, lights off before the landing. I obeyed and the thrill tasted like rust. Inside he moved with rehearsed ease and hush. Shoes tucked, jacket hung, phone on counter. He kissed me again, slower and sweeter now. My body believed him faster than my head. The counter buzzed once, then twice, then stopped. I pulled back, he didn't chase the distance. You're safe, he said, voice soft and assured. I wanted proof, not tone, not touch. Put her name in my phone, I said. He froze a beat too long, then reached. I locked his phone with my thumb over the camera. Unlock it, my voice skimmed the edge of calm. He tried a grin that never reached his eyes. I tapped the screen twice like a metronome. He entered the code and I didn't blink. Contacts, I flicked the list up and stopped. Her name wasn't there, only a neat nickname. Full name, I pressed palm flat on the counter. He tapped edit, shoulders tight but steady. The cursor blinked like a dare. Call her now, I slid the phone back. He angled the speaker away from me. No speaker, I said, touching his wrist lightly. The buzz arrived before the first ring. A banner flashed and he killed it fast. What focus is that? My chest lifted once. Work mode, he muttered, eyes on the floor. Turn it off, my finger hovered over settings. He toggled the moon icon with a twitch. I felt more awake than I wanted. I scrolled the message thread he offered up. Blue bubbles, tidy timestamps, a few clipped answers. No photos, no jokes, only polite confirmation. Why no emojis? I asked, keeping rhythm slow. He shrugged and the shrug smelled like strategy. Group chat, then I opened the next screen. He tried to guide my hand away from search. Family thread is boring, he tossed without breath. Good, I said, finding it in 2 swipes. A school reminder pinged and filled the bar. Read it, I pinned the notification with my thumb. He reached, then stopped, then forced a nod. A pickup time, a venue, a late fee warning. Who is handling that? I asked, voice low. Tomorrow, he replied, too quickly for comfort. Add me to her contact card. I stared hard. Why, he asked, but his hands moved anyway. My number appeared under a new label. I told him to set a custom tone. He picked silence and I let it stand. Send her my name, I dictated each syllable. He typed, then hesitated at the last letter. Send, I hit the arrow myself and waited. 3 dots pulsed, then vanished, then returned again. My stomach took note and filed it. Footsteps in the hall paused near the door. He stiffened, then smoothed his shirt and listened. A key scraped metal and stopped without turning. Neighbor, he whispered, mouth barely moving. I kept breathing and counted to 5. The lock stayed quiet, but his hands didn't. He opened a drawer and passed me a key. If she shows up, take the side exit. I held the metal like a question with teeth. Why would she show up? I asked, eyes sharp. Insurance, he tightened his jaw and checked the peephole. Insurance for what was the knife between us. I'm not covering for you, I told him plainly. He nodded, then shook his head once. I kept the key and hated that instinct. His phone lit again with a new banner. A calendar invite slid across, then disappeared. Open pending invites, I said, tapping my nail. He hesitated long enough to tell me everything. 3 invites waited, all declined automatically. Change that rule, I pointed at the toggle. He switched it off with a rough exhale. Resend, I said, and he stared at me. Resend or I will, I added, voice flat. He hit resend and we both watched silence. I want proof of openness, the words stung my own mouth. He paced once and checked the blank screen. Text her the boundary list you gave me. He typed and I scanned the lines twice. I tightened one and added my name. He swallowed and sent the message out. I listened for anything that sounded like truth. The apartment felt too tidy for this mess. A reply arrived with a single period. He looked at me and I looked through him. Call again, I put the phone back in his palm. He dialed and I pressed speaker before he blocked me. Ringing, then a clipped voicemail on the first beat. He ended the call and started a new one. Blocked again and the air thinned. New plan, I opened a fresh message window. I typed a single line with my number and date. Send that to her and no edits. He watched my fingers like they might bite him. He sent it and wiped his mouth. A photo alert surfaced from a shared album. A family shot, faces turned away, timestamped yesterday. He tried to swipe it off the screen. I pinned it with 2 fingers and zoomed in. The reflection showed his jacket and this counter. Yesterday wasn't work, I said, pulse steady now. He blinked twice and braced a hand on the sink. Who took that? I asked, tracking the angle. He closed his eyes for a full breath. I am not your secret, I told him evenly. My phone buzzed with the unknown number again. Only my name and a clock emoji appeared. I opened the thread and replied with hello. The typing bubble flickered like a stutter. Who are you? Came back tight and direct. I held the screen where he could see. His shoulders fell and then lifted stubbornly. Friend, he offered, trying to sound casual. Put her on a call with me now. He stared like he was choosing a weapon. I dialed the number myself with a long press. He reached for the phone and I dodged. The line connected and rustled once in my ear. Who is this? A woman asked, clipped and cold. My name left my mouth before my doubt could. There was a breath, then a very neat sigh. Where are you right now? She asked without flinching. I looked at him and he looked at the door. Upstairs, I answered, and the word rang hard. Stay there, she said, and the call ended. He stepped forward and stopped as if yanked back. What did she say? He asked, color draining. I pocketed the key and planted my feet. She's coming, I whispered, and his lips parted. The hallway outside went quiet like a held breath. Knuckles hit the door twice, fast and clipped. He flinched and killed the sound on every device. I tucked the key deeper and planted my feet. Side stairs now, he whispered, palm open for the key. I kept it and looked at the deadbolt like a timer. Open up, her voice carried a steady edge. He mouthed wait and dragged a chair under the handle. Another knock, slower now, like she knew the rhythm. You asked me to stay, I reminded him without blinking. He stared at the door like it might confess. He grabbed his mobile and typed a stall message. Traffic, he thumbed, then hovered over send. I took the device and deleted the excuse. Speaker only from now on, I said and waited. He swallowed and nodded like he'd run out of tricks. The peephole darkened and cleared, then darkened again. Either you open or I bring the manager. Her words sounded practiced, not loud and not rattled. He moved the chair an inch and stared at me. I leaned on the counter and lifted my chin. Decide, my voice came out clean and final. He unlocked the door but kept the chain hooked. A sliver opened, enough for a look and a breath. I'm here, she said through the gap like it was neutral. He pushed the door wider and stepped back fast. She stepped in without a glance at me first. Eyes on him, then on his jacket tossed nearby. She clocked the second glass and the phone on speaker. Introduce me to your openness, she said and waited. Her gaze found me and held a beat too long. I'm not hiding, I told her, hands visible and still. I slid the mobile across the counter toward her. Check message history, I added with a steady voice. He moved to block and I shifted my hip. She reached past him with zero hesitation. She scrolled once and stopped at my number. Saved under a nickname, she noted with one eyebrow. He rubbed his temple and stared at the floorboards. I pulled the metal band from my pocket slowly. Returned on request, I said, and the room tensed. She took the ring and turned it once, then twice. Her mouth quirked when she caught the inside engraving. This goes on at work, she said and pocketed it. His shoulders slumped and then squared like a bad reset. I braced for whatever story he would try next. We're separated, he launched, hands lifted without conviction. On what planet, she answered, thumbs already moving. Her screen lit a shared calendar with counseling tomorrow. My throat tightened at the date she flashed up. He glanced away and had nowhere to land. Where did you meet her, she asked with a still face. He guessed a location and a time that missed. I supplied the exact hour and the receipt amount. Her eyes cut to mine and stayed there. Something in me hardened like a latch clicking shut. She opened his settings and pulled down hidden folders. A fresh thread popped open with a different contact. Same pet name, different number, same careful punctuation. Her jaw flexed once and then relaxed deliberately. He reached for the phone and she didn't let go. Take a picture of the rules he gave you. Her request landed like a line thrown across water. I snapped the screenshot and sent it to her device. She forwarded it to an attorney contact without commentary. The action felt like a switch flipping behind him. A soft tap sounded on the hallway wall outside. The neighbor's door eased open and a face hovered. Everything okay? A careful voice asked through the crack. We're fine, she answered, not looking away from us. The face retreated, but the crack stayed waiting. She set the phone down and faced him squarely. You bring our kid home tonight or I will. The words were low and precise with no wobble. He reached for keys and came up with empty hands. I touched my pocket and he noticed too late. Give them to me, she said without raising volume. I placed the keys in her palm with a short nod. He opened his mouth and closed it like a bad hinge. I felt the line where pity should have been. It wasn't there and that scared me less. Your version, her eyes moved back to me. I believed it was consensual and transparent, I answered clearly. I demanded contact and real confirmation, not stagecraft. Her shoulders loosened a fraction and her grip steadied. He stared at the wall like it might offer cover. Her phone vibrated and she read without blinking once. Manager S here if I need a witness, she reported calmly. She lifted her gaze to me and held it. Will you testify to the dates if this escalates? Yes, I said, and the word did not wobble. He dragged a hand down his face and exhaled sharply. Please don't ruin me, he whispered at the floor. Tell the truth tonight and handle pickup on time. She slid the keys into her pocket and checked the door. He nodded too fast and looked suddenly smaller. She reached for the mobile and opened the camera. Stand together, she instructed, and we both froze. It's documentation, not theatrics, she added without sugar. We grouped in the frame with a stiff space between. She clicked once and the moment locked in. I'll call you at 6 for logistics, she told him evenly. Then to me, I'll text you the attorney details. I nodded and stared at the call history again. A number at the top sat unlabeled and recent. She noticed and tapped it with a deliberate thumb. A voicemail began with his voice, warm and reckless. I miss you already, he purred to someone unnamed. The timestamp landed 15 minutes before I arrived. She stopped the playback and looked straight through him. My chest cooled and I understood the scale. She turned toward the exit and paused at the threshold. Leave before she returns, I told myself silently. He reached for my hand and I stepped back hard. Do not contact me again, I said without tremor. The hallway swallowed her footsteps like a clock starting. He lunged for the trash bin and yanked the liner. Screenshots fluttered inside like trapped birds. I caught his wrist before he reached a shredder. You destroy nothing, I told him, and he froze. The hallway carried a faint elevator ding, closer. He jerked free and headed for the sink. A glass cracked under his grip and slipped. Water ran long as he stared at the drain. Focus, I snapped, pointing at the stack of proofs. He shut the faucet and met my stare cornered. My phone lit with an unknown text. Send me everything now, the message read. A second line appeared with a firm timeline. 30 minutes or she files for an emergency order. I felt relief mix with dread like a current. Forward the files, I told him, holding out my palm. He hesitated, then unlocked his cloud with shaking hands. A prompt asked for a recovery code from email. He looked at me, then at the laptop bag. I nodded and he pulled the zipper slowly. He typed the code and the archive opened. Dates, locations, receipts, and a contact sheet appeared. He reached to select just 2 safe items. I slapped his knuckles lightly and shook my head. All of it, I said, and he stopped trimming. Footsteps paused outside and the manager knocked once. You requested a wellness check, came a cautious voice. I stepped to the door with my ID raised. Witness present, I called, keeping my tone even. A clipboard lifted in the gap like a seal. He stared at the clipboard, then at the floor. Do you need me to call security? The manager asked. I answered first with a steady yes. Stand by, the manager replied, and the gap closed. The air tightened as keys rattled across the hall. He powered down the laptop and hugged it tight. Not leaving with that, I warned, planting my stance. He looked ready to sprint and then didn't. You'll have to explain this to your lawyer, I added. His mouth twitched like he tasted metal. Her number rang through on speaker with a chime. Time's running, she said, voice steady and cool. I have a witness and management on standby. Files are opening, I answered, eyes on the clock. He listened and flinched at her calm. She asked him a single clear question. Are you consenting to preserve everything right now? He stared at the wall and nodded once. Out loud, I prompted, and he forced the words. The line clicked as she recorded and logged it. Security arrived with a soft knock and firm posture. Everyone safe? The guard asked, scanning our faces. We're documenting, I said, showing the active recording. The guard took a note and stayed by the door. His presence cut the room into zones. I.O. Penned airdrop and pointed to the album. He hovered, then allowed the transfer with a swallow. File after file jumped to my device and stacked. I watched the progress bar crawl like a fuse. He watched too, sweating through rehearsed calm. Her follow-up text dropped with a short link. Shared drive created, the message displayed with instructions. Upload and confirm within 10 minutes. I tapped upload and selected everything without sorting. His shoulders fell as thumbnails flooded the screen. A mail ping sounded from his account. Subject line read last chance to correct the record. He lunged for the keyboard and I blocked him. The guard shifted weight and cleared his throat once. Finish the transfer, I told the room, not him. The last file landed and the drive showed green. I typed a confirmation and sent it to her. She replied with an address and a time tomorrow. Statement at 9, the message read without fluff. I felt my heartbeat settle into purpose. He sagged against the counter and rubbed his face. Please talk to me alone, he murmured toward the floor. No, I answered, and the guard stayed planted. He tried a softer look and found no purchase. Whatever hold he had on me was gone. I dialed a ride and gathered my charger. He reached for my forearm and paused mid-grab. You'll get through this if you tell the truth. He blinked like the sentence burned his eyes. The guard watched without blinking at all. My phone buzzed again with a short voice memo. Her tone remained calm and surgical throughout. Thank you for protecting yourself and me, she said. Expect contact from counsel within the hour. I saved the memo and stared at the exit. The elevator arrived with a muted chime. I stepped in as he hovered by the threshold. "Don't call me," I reminded him, jaw set hard. He didn't answer, and that felt cleaner. The door slid shut and his face sliced away. Halfway down, my screen flashed a new alert. Different number, different city, same surname. A message blinked up with 2 careful sentences. "I am her sister, will meet you downstairs." The elevator slowed and my pulse surged forward. The elevator doors parted and 2 women waited. One held her phone up like a badge. "You're the one who called?" she asked, shoulders squared. I nodded and showed the shared drive receipt. "Good," she said, and scanned the entrance for him. "We need a clean timeline right now." Her sister opened a notes app and tapped. "Start with today and keep it exact." I gave the sequence while she logged times. A car horn outside cut through our focus. "That's his," the sister said, glancing toward the curb. "He will try to pull you away." We moved to a bench near the concierge. She positioned herself between me and the door. Her phone buzzed with a new alert: motion detected. His vehicle tracker just pinged in the garage. She showed a screenshot with level and stall number. He hid a second phone under the seat. I stared at the screen and felt heat rise. "This ends now," the wife said, already walking. We crossed the lobby as the guard waved us through. "Stall C14, the sister read, voice flat and steady. I followed the painted numbers like stepping stones. The wife pointed at his SUV and stopped short. "All cameras on," she reminded us under her breath. She knelt by the rear seat and checked fast. Nothing at first, then a tight plastic case. The sister snapped a photo before lifting it. A second handset blinked with a familiar lock screen. My face showed in a banner preview last week. "He mirrored your thread to this device." The sister held it where I could see. The wife scrolled through recent calls with 2 flicks. One contact labeled with a city and a heart. She opened audio messages and pressed play once. His voice filled the garage, warm and rehearsed. "I'll swing by after bedtime, same plan as last time." The timestamp matched a night he claimed work. The wife saved the file to the case folder. She looked up at me and didn't flinch. Red brake lights flashed at the ramp entrance. He turned in and saw us by the car. He braked hard and stared straight at the evidence. The guard stepped from a pillar and raised a hand. The engine idled like an animal ready to bolt. The wife lifted my phone and recorded steadily. "Return the second line without fuss," she instructed him. He stayed in the vehicle and checked his mirrors. "Exit now," the guard added with no change in tone. He cut the engine and opened the door halfway. "I'll fix this," he started, palms visible and shaking. The sister held up the mirrored phone for emphasis. "Unlock both devices," she told him with a nod. He looked around for a friendly face and found none. He unlocked them while the guard watched closely. The wife dictated a short statement for him. "Confirm that you told her it was open." He repeated it and his voice thinned at confirm. "Confirm that it wasn't," she added. "Ed like a hammer." He balked and then forced the admission out. "You will deliver our child at 6 sharp." She did not blink while he searched for words. "Any delay triggers emergency pickup and police escort." He tried to argue and his jaw wobbled. The sister wrote the terms and snapped his nod. A rideshare pulled into the lane and paused. "Get in with us," the wife urged me. "We go to the notary now and seal this." I hesitated and scanned for exits and shadows. My caution finally felt like a working muscle. We climbed into the back while the guard observed. He stayed by his car and rubbed his face. The sister texted the attorney with a short update. "Notary is ready and 2 witnesses available." I braced my knees as the driver pulled out. During the ride, she handed me a fresh pen. "Initial next to every date you know." I signed across screenshots of our exact hours. Each mark studied something that had been shaking. I left space for anything I had missed. The notary office bustled like a small station. We sat at a high counter under a wall clock. The clerk checked our IDs and printed the forms. My throat went dry, but my hands stayed sure. The stamp hit the page with a heavy click. The wife forwarded the packet to the drive. Her shoulders loosened by a fraction and held. "Last step before we breathe," she murmured without smiling. I understood and set my pen down slowly. The phone on the desk lit with a school alert. The alert mentioned a missed pickup and a fee. Her jaw tightened and she glanced at the time. "Call the office and authorize me," the sister urged. The wife dialed on speaker and named me witness. I gave my name and the line accepted it. "We have 20 minutes before the late window," the clerk warned. We sprinted to the street and flagged the nearest car. The driver glanced at our paperwork and nodded. I texted the guard a quick thank you message. He replied with thumbs up and a cam still running. We reached the school with 6 minutes to spare. She checked in at the front desk without pause. The sister stood beside her like a wall. I waited by the door and listened for footsteps. A child's laugh spilled into the hallway like light. He appeared at the far end, breathless and flushed. He spotted us and tried a smile that died. The kid ran forward and then stopped mid-stride. The wife knelt and opened her arms without words. He watched them and understood he had no leverage. 6 o'clock tomorrow, she reminded him softly but sharp. He nodded once and stared at the polished floor. The sister wrapped an arm around both of them. I stayed a step back and kept the camera rolling. He lifted his eyes and found me still there. My phone buzzed with a new number from his side. A message flashed with a single pleading sentence. "Please meet me tonight, I can explain everything." I blocked it and took one long breath. Across the room the clock struck 3 times steady. The recorder blinked red and the attorney lifted a hand. "State your name for the record," came through the speaker. I did, then fixed my eyes on the time display. Across the table she angled her phone toward mine. "We'll keep this tight and exact," she promised like a warning. His number tried to join the call without invitation. The attorney muted him and sent a single text. "Join only when instructed," she typed with surgical calm. He pinged again and the icon twitched stubbornly. I watched the attempt stack like a countdown. "Confirm today's uploads," she prompted, finger over the file list. I opened the drive and read the names aloud. She cross-checked each item and nodded once. Now the mirrored handset found in the garage. I placed it on the table and unlocked it. A fresh audio file waited near the top. She pressed play and his voice filled the small room. "I'll park on the next street, same drill as before." The timestamp matched last Thursday at 8:19. She saved it to a labeled folder without a blink. Her screen lit with a new email flagged high priority. "School requested confirmation of pickup authority," she read. "Reply with your statement and attach notarized pages." I dictated the last 3 lines while she typed. She hit send and turned the device face down. His face appeared on the lobby camera feed. He paced, then spoke to the receptionist with broad gestures. The attorney waved at the camera and stood. "Bring him up with a witness present," she instructed. I sat straighter and felt my pulse even out. He entered and stopped at the threshold like it burned. "Phone on the table," the attorney directed without raising volume. He hesitated, then slid both devices forward. The screen buzzed with a new message from unknown. The preview used my initials like a handle. "Play it," the attorney said, tapping the glass twice. A woman's voice spoke in a quick whisper. "I have screenshots too, contact me if needed." He lunged for the phone and the guard blocked him. The attorney saved the voicemail and locked the screen. She turned to him with the notary packet ready. "Read this clause and confirm it verbally." He read, then stumbled at the word disclosure. She waited until he completed the sentence cleanly. I marked the time in my notes and breathed once. Her sister entered with a slim folder and a coffee. "HR called," she reported, placing forms on the table. "They want your written account on company letterhead." The attorney nodded and circled a section with her pen. "Sign here to release the timeline," she told me. I scanned the clause and passed the page back. "No discipline asked for me," I requested clearly. "Only factual delivery of dates and contact." She amended a line in tight print and initialed. I signed and felt something unclench with intent. His phone shivered and flashed a calendar reminder. "Drop off at 6, the banner displayed like a dare. He reached to dismiss and stopped mid-motion. The attorney captured a screenshot while it lingered. She filed it under compliance with ruthless care. The unknown woman called again and I answered. "Speak only to confirm your identity," the attorney warned. The voice gave a name and a city quickly. "I'll send my folder now," she added breathlessly. The call ended and an email landed 1 second later. Photos appeared, then 2 clone message threads. He sat very still while the attorney reviewed. Different number, same nickname, she observed without drama. Her sister photographed the screen from 2 angles. My throat tightened and my resolve hardened. The attorney opened a new audio memo to document. State your intention moving forward, she prompted me. I looked at him and then at the file list. No contact outside legal requests, I said clearly. Any breach will be logged and forwarded immediately. The building intercom chimed with a visitor at reception. The manager from earlier requested a quick update. The attorney invited him in to witness a signature. He signed a line and entered his employee number. We now had neutral eyes on the record. My phone vibrated with a short clip from the school. A hallway camera showed him yesterday with someone else. Their faces turned just enough to end debate. The attorney paused the frame and zoomed with 2 fingers. He shut his eyes and pressed his tongue to his teeth. Deliver the child tonight on time, the attorney continued. No exchanges at private residences from now on. He nodded, then tried a smile that never formed. Her sister wrote the meeting place with exact cross streets. I added it to the joint calendar and hit share. He slid a sealed envelope toward me with a shaky breath. For you, he murmured, refusing to meet my gaze. I laid it flat and tore one edge slowly. Inside was a gift card and a short apology. I dropped both into the shred bin without looking up. The attorney ended the session and saved the file. Walk out separately, she advised in a firm tone. Her sister guided me to the door with a glance. He lingered by the window and checked his reflection. I left before that image could pull me back. In the elevator, my screen lit with a new text. The unknown woman sent a location and a time. Meet for copies now, her message read without fluff. I replied with the attorney's email and a thank you. I blocked her number after the attachments arrived. On the street, my ride pulled to the curb. I climbed in and tapped a final message to the wife. All files received and verified, I wrote and paused. Whatever you need tomorrow, I'll show up. 3 dots appeared, then a steady reply blinked through. Tomorrow at 9 again, her message confirmed with no extra words. You did the right thing today, she added quickly. I stared at that line until the light changed. The driver merged and my phone buzzed one last time. Unknown sent a blank bubble, then nothing at all.